Coach fired, concussed after a handful of starts. And despite all this, is Jaxson Dart still the Giants' quarterback of the future? It's been another long year for the New York Giants, but they did find plenty of encouraging moments from their rookie quarterback, Jaxson Dart. So has the former first-rounder shown enough to be the Giants' franchise quarterback? I'll be joined by Giants beat writer Charlotte Carroll to discuss Dart's emergence as a starter in New York this season. We'll also go to the tape to touch on some of Dart's improvement as an anticipatory passer, some of the work still in front of him as a pocket passer, and his elite arm talent. Let's start with an example of Dart's anticipation as a passer. At Ole Miss, he played an offense for Lane Kiffin that was very college-y, we'll say. It doesn't translate to a lot of what NFL teams are going to ask a young quarterback to do in terms of full field reads, in terms of making anticipatory throws, being able to throw a ball as a receiver's coming into his break, knowing what the coverage is. Jaxson Dart has shown a fair amount of that so far as a rookie. We're going to see right here just a pretty basic example against the Raiders of Dart having no problem understanding what the concept is. You're going to see him go back into his drop here and then release the football basically as the receiver is starting his break. So he's starting into his break, as we can see right here, and Dart is already loaded to throw the ball. So before he's even made his break, the coverage isn't great here, ignore all that, but this is a great example of throwing to a spot before the receiver is there, anticipating where he's going to be, and most importantly, the guys trust him. He trusts his receivers, they trust him, and it works out really well. This is a really good throw, right on the money, right where he needs to be, underneath, and we call this a layered throw to a degree. It's not super tight. We'll stop it right here. So layered throws for young quarterbacks. We talk about this being a problem for J.J. McCarthy and some of these other young guys, layering the ball in between two levels. So we're going to say he needs to be able to put it right here. If he overshoots it, on this one, if he overthrows it, this guy's got a chance to make a play on the ball. One of these guys could come back on an underthrow. So it really does need to be perfect, put right in the right spot. And again, anticipatory throw on time, exactly where it needs to be for a big play and a first down, leads to a score and an early lead against the Raiders. Let's welcome Charlotte in for more on Dart's growth as a passer this season. It's been a weird year for New York. What have the coaches that are left, what have they talked about in terms of Jackson's growth as an anticipatory passer and just in general as a pocket passer?
I feel like each game with him is a learning experience. You're seeing him grow in different areas. And I think that's the biggest sign of encouragement with a young player. You want to see him avoid hits. I know we can kind of get into that a little bit more because that's a huge topic with him. But one of the things that coaches have said, and Jaxson Dart himself, his ball security, they've been happy with that. Just his ability to kind of control the game. That was something that Mike Kafka talked about post-game after the Raiders win, of just how he kind of carried the flow and kind of went with the game. Just those easy passes to start, and then they went more downfield as the game went on.
Moving on to an issue that still needs work, Dart's execution from the pocket. Part of the reason why he takes so many hits, I feel like, is because he's got a tendency to drop his eyes in the pocket. He's got a tendency to play with sloppy footwork in the pocket, which often leads to him either creating a sack that doesn't need to be there or having to run out of the pocket with a receiver open and taking an unnecessary hit that way. So here we got a throw down in the red zone where he's going to take a sack on a play that just doesn't need to happen. And what we're going to watch here are his feet. This is what looks like it's supposed to be a three-step drop, maybe a three-step drop with a hitch, and he does none of that. I don't know what these weird drops are, but we see this a lot from young quarterbacks. It's one step and just he makes it up. It's like we did this with Shedeur Sanders, a Shedeur drop. Well, this is a Jaxson drop. He just sort of does his own thing, and we can see when he lands and he's ready to throw, no receiver is even remotely, this guy's running across here, he's running another inbreaker here. We're not even remotely close to being ready to catch this football or even looking like we're open. So he's already scanning the field. He's moved his eyes from here over to here, and no one's open because no one is ready. He's going to panic, and he's going to take a sack, and he's going to make a terrible decision there that could have led to a turnover at the end. But the whole thing stems from poor footwork at the beginning, right? If he took a three-step drop, 1, 2, 3 in rhythm with his receivers, and then came up on his, on time to throw, he could have done it to either one. He could have thrown to either spot. This guy's actually open too. He's got three guys open here, and instead it's going to be a sack, and sometimes these lead to really nasty hits that become a problem for him. Let's bring Charlotte back in now for more on how the coaching staff in New York is putting an emphasis on this. You mentioned all the positives there, and there's a ton of them, right? I think he's shown more than a lot of us thought maybe he would, even as a rookie, because a lot of it was hidden to a degree in college. But the big one, though, to me are the hits. Has that been sort of the Giants staff? Has that been the big thing that they're talking to him about?
Yeah, every time he gets hit. I mean, this is just me. I'm a cautious person, so
Me too,
sometimes
yeah.
covering football can be a little
I know, yeah.
but especially with your rookie quarterback who just willingly goes into contact. He's had 5 concussion checks on the season. I mean, he's was out 2 games with a concussion. But I will say it's something, at least in the Raiders game, he looks to be getting better at it. And he had a really good answer post game of just kind of where it sounded like it kind of was finally clicking with him, of like he knows it's this delicate balance with him. Like, it's obviously it's part of his game. He's got this threat as a rusher, which is so important, and you don't want to take that away from him. And that's not the kind of player he is, just strictly in the pocket. But he has to know when to be smart with the ball and when to take those hits. That's something that coaching staff has really tried to get across to him. And hopefully it seems to be clicking. And
now we'll see Dart's confident arm talent on display. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that, regardless of all the things we talked about, like, it's hard to tell what he was doing at Ole Miss, if that's going to translate. You know, there's a lot of guys who are smart scouting-wise. They say, I don't care. If he can do stuff like this, I don't care, because we can work with him. And I think this is the stuff right here. This effortless flick of the ball with pressure coming at him, kind of off his back foot, not perfect. It's not kind of what you want it to be. We see Jordan Love do this a lot and get away with it because he's just got such a special arm. I feel like in some ways Patrick Mahomes might have ruined a younger generation of quarterbacks who think they can get away with stuff. But, like, Dart's one of these guys. He's got a legit arm. I mean, it's for real, and I think that we've seen it all year long. It's flashed. He can really spin it like this. This is really effortless off the back foot. You can see where he can get you out of trouble and find things, eyes downfield, really good throw. Charlotte has seen this up close all year, better than anybody. So let's go back, talk with her about how this impacts New York's future. New coach is coming in, obviously, but do they feel like Jaxson Dart is the guy that they're safe with, and the guy that they want to at least take the ride with for the coming years?
I think so, based on everything we've seen. And everything that Jaxson has shown. Obviously, you mentioned the new coaching staff. You never know, and that's the big caveat, is that, like, you never know who's going to come in, what they're going to want as a player, because obviously this is not a coach who drafted him, who's going to be there. So that matchup has to be important. And if GM Joe Shane is still there, I think that's a little bit more guaranteed that, maybe they'll try to find someone to mesh with Jaxson. If it's a new GM in place, I don't know, maybe that gets a little more difficult, and the new coach has a little bit more say. But for everything that Jaxson has shown, he's at least proved that, this is his job and it's going to be someone's to take away,
Right.
regardless of kind of what happens. He's done a really good job, not only of just like the on-field stuff, but of just managing the New York media and the market.
Exactly.
It's a difficult place to come into, and he's kind of handled that, with swag, with personality. Fans like him. So far it's been kind of everything you want to see in a young quarterback.
I think the Giants found a quarterback worth building around. Jaxson Dart has to play more under control and do a better job of keeping himself healthy. But if New York can continue to add weapons around him and his soon-to-be healthy Malik Neighbors, it's easy to see why this would be an enticing coaching job in the upcoming head coaching carousel. And if Dart can stay on the field next year, I think we'll see a future franchise passer in New York.